systems are correct. I don't necessarily have this on for most of the stream, but I thought I'd just start off with this on. Because I do like the fact with the shims, you can put glasses on the outside of it as well. That does just seem to work right. We get the live control panel up. So yeah, we'll see if anybody comes on. It says there's already 1 like and 3 people on, so thank you. Normally these do get more views than when I do a game stream, but what about the GP7? I don't have it handy, and like I said, you can't wear glasses with the GP7 anyway. Sort of works a bit with the shims, but the problem is, like I said, they keep slipping down because they don't really have anything to catch on to. But yeah, I can do this for a bit, but they won't stay tight on the mask very long, really. But yeah, so we'll see if we get some people on. Not really anything of too much interest to talk about. I think a lot of the news at the moment is the Iran stuff, isn't it? Because the Houthis or whatever with Iran and like Saudi Arabia and that are now blocking the other strait, like not the Strait of Hormuz, but the other one. And now it means that Saudi Arabia can't export oil properly. So that's a bit of a problem, because obviously that's forcing up oil prices, which are already high. And when oil prices go up and petrol prices and, you know, gasoline, diesel, whatever, fuel prices go up, it means that everything related to fuel also goes up. So, you know, for transporting any goods. So then that price will be put on your food bills and everything else. So thank you, Trump, for this disastrous war that's not going anywhere. So yeah, hopefully we get some people on. I did try earlier installing a local AI on my PC, as in like a chatbot one that's meant to be uncensored. I haven't asked it anything too spicy, but when I was asking it about stuff to do with chemicals and that, it was actually giving me answers, whereas I think ChatGPT would have gone, oh, that could potentially be dangerous, so I won't answer you. So that was kind of interesting. But like I said, the thing is with that is just, I just want to sort of try one out. I think it was Dolphin it was called, I think I was trying. Can't remember. But anyway, my hay fever's been a bit bad today, so apologies if my eyes look a bit itchy. That's just, again, issue with the hay fever stuff. Wonder how well the glasses go on with this sort of mask in comparison. Probably pretty similar, but that ridge actually keeps them in better. So yeah, this mask's better for it. Because the ridge there keeps the glasses from falling down. So there you go. That looks better. I hope we get some people in the chat, because I've only seen one comment so far. Let's put a filter on us, so it's actually useful. We'll take the one off the shins and put that on here. That's happy. So yeah, we'll just chat about whatever. Like I said, that is kind of a funny thing with this mask, if you can put your glasses on the outside of it. But most masks you can't do that, just where the eyepieces work. There's nothing for the glasses to sort of stick into. So yeah, hopefully we get a bit of a conversation going, because like I said, at the moment there's nobody talking. Or if they're talking, YouTube is just censoring every single comment. So I'll have a look at what's on the front page of the BBC right now while I'm doing this.
Southport killer Axel Reed of a Carnival appears to be manipulating the system apparently for his age because they're moving into a funny farm rather than a prison now. Global fires in France. A bomb in Northern Ireland, or bombs intercepted Northern Ireland. Stuff about Andy Burnham. That's about it. Not much in the news at all. But like I said, even though the Iran and Hormuz Strait and all that stuff was more interesting in the news, it's
not being covered much on the BBC for some reason. Let's have a look on another news site. I'll just search it. Yeah, from 1 day ago, oil prices hit $100 for the first time since May. Oil prices hit $100 a barrel for the first time since May as the escalating conflict in the Middle East reignites fears over global energy supplies. Brent crude, the global benchmark for oil prices, rose more than 6% on Thursday following several days of increases as the US stepped up military strikes against Iran. Prices spiked after Houthi militia in Yemen attacked oil tankers in the Red Sea, threatening a key export route that Saudi Arabia has used to bypass the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, that's what I was just saying, Links, yeah. Because, again, this is the problem. If you start a war and then can't win it, generally everything gets worse for all the sides involved. Like I say, like with Putin's special military operation, similar thing of, oh, that's all right, they won't fight back, I'll win in a couple of days. All right, Kevin? Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Hay fever's been a bit bad today, but otherwise all right. Yeah, where they, what was I saying, sort of said about, oh, they won't fight back, we'll win in a couple of days. And then it turns out that, yeah, that can completely, can destroy your economy, because if you've not planned out for a long war and you get a long war, you're a bit fucked. Like I said, there's actually fuck all on the BBC in terms of barely any competent news, realistic news. But yeah, so we can chat about whatever. So like I said, I did install a local AI earlier, just out of interest. If anybody's got any questions that aren't too spicy, it's called Llama 2, actually. I'll ask it and I'll tell you what it says. But again, bear in mind, it would have to be fine with YouTube's terms of service. But if you wanted to ask an AI a question that's running on my machine, we could see if it gives us a proper answer. Because, like I said, with this one, it's meant to be one that basically, if you ask it a question, it answers it rather than saying, "Oh no, that breaks certain guidelines," whatever. And it's because it's only a text thing. It actually runs pretty damn fast off of 3090. Oh, that's good, Kevin. Yeah, I'll try the thing again with my glasses, but I doubt it works on this one like it does with the other mask. But let's try it. Yeah, that definitely doesn't work as well with this mask. I mean, I can do it to see the chat. That does actually work. But obviously, they're a bit too far from my eyes to be like a good quality image. As in, it's not quite in focus. But that sort of works, even though it's not very good. Like I said, with the other pair of glasses, they will work in a few of my masks. I've just got them set up with the C50, the proper internal one. So that's my actual thing. But yeah, this sort of works. Yeah, like I said, CT12s are very good masks. I like them a lot, as you know. They're just, overall CT12, FM12s are just a very competent 40mm mask. Just does the job. Simple as. I wonder if the Forshida accepts glasses as well. Let's have a look. No, that's even worse. Yeah, that is certainly not very comfy with this one. Because of the it's mostly sort of straps are thing. Let's see if I tighten a little bit. I can maybe make that work a bit better. But
No, because it has to expand too far to get around the eyepieces like that.
Where did you get the mask? Which particular mask? Nearly all the masks I got were off eBay. There's a few I got from other places, but vast majority of my masks are on eBay over the years, just where, like, you know, sometimes stuff is a good price on the surplus market. But all of those Soviet ones, except the PMG, which I think was off an old site called Soviet Power, and I don't know if that even exists anymore. That was off there, but for the most part, eBay for all those masks. CT12 was eBay, the Shums was eBay, I think. The Forshida was definitely eBay. So yeah, with like I said, where I've got a local AI running, we can ask it questions if we want to do something that's not too spicy for YouTube, but might be a question that wouldn't be answered via a normal AI chat assistant. Because like I said, I thought because it's only a few gigabytes, I'd install a local AI model just so if you want to ask it questions, it's not being shared with a database or anything. Hiccups. Not being asked, you know, not being shared with a database, and you know, in theory, it's not censored. So so like for example, if I put what is the most dangerous of chemical warfare agents, let's see what it says. The most lethal chemical warfare agent is VX nerve gas, which was developed during World War II. That's false. It's giving me false information there. It's not developed during World War II. VX was in the Cold War. It is a colourless and odourless liquid that can be sprayed onto surfaces or released into the air as vapour. Exposure to small amounts of VX can lead to paralysis, coma, and death within minutes. I'll put VX was developed during the Cold War and see what it says. Tabun and sarin, etc. are from World War II. Yes, you are correct. VX was developed in the United States as a potential replacement for mustard gas in World War II. Okay, so it's just coming up with bullshit now. I might get a different AI model if this one isn't very good at this sort of stuff. Because and I think VX might have been made in the UK. Let me have a look. Originally, was VX discovered? How was VX discovered? VX nerve agent was discovered in Imperial Chemical Industries (ICI) laboratories at the United Kingdom by chemist Dr. Ranjit Ghosh in 1952. So there we go. It wasn't even made in America. So yeah, that chat model isn't very good for asking about that. I can have a look for another chat model. Hang on a second. Let's have a look. I'll say to it that Dolphin 2. I'll put Dolphin 2 is working, but is giving lots of wrong answers. What is a more competent AI I can install instead? No, sorry. Whoops, not Dolphin 2. Yeah. Dolphin 3 is apparently quite good. So, give me install instructions for Dolphin 3. Open a terminal and run Llama or run Dolphin 3. So, it automatically downloads the model. Okay, cool. All right, so just we'll just do that, and I'll let you know what it says. All right, success. Send a message. Okay, let's try this again. What is the deadliest chemical weapon? deadliest chemical weapon is generally considered to be sarin, GB, but again, it's not because sarin is outdated. It's given me a very good long answer to this. I'll put isn't VX more dangerous? Yes, you are correct. The VX nerve agent is generally considered to be even more toxic and deadly than sarin. So yeah, so again, it's that AI problem of, let's ask it, where was VX discovered? See if it can at least get that correct. VX nerve agent was first synthesized in the United States in the 1950s by a team. Again, wrong. It might have been. It wasn't first there. So again, this might be a more competent AI, but it's still not great, is it? I'll put dolphin stip 3 is still not very competent. What is a better censored AI? Let's see if we can find something better. Yeah, exactly, Kevin. Again, when I quit my job that I last had, I was almost being forced to train a replacement person when I faced it. He said, fuck this, with all the other problems going on in that place. But, yeah. Dolphin 3 8GB is better than Dolphin 2, but it's still a relatively small model. Quen 3.5, 3.6 uncensored, best overall, up to 25GB. Tell me how to run Quen 3.6 uncensored. It's probably just where I'm going to have to type the same sort of thing in to run it via that other AI chatbot thing on Linux. Yeah, Alama run. Oh, aggressive uncensored. Let's try aggressive uncensored. That sounds good. All right, we want to close this terminal. Control T, open Linux terminal. Right, it's pulling the manifest. Right, this is 22 gigs. So it, yeah, had it on to begin with. It actually worked better that I was showing people a bit into the stream on the this one, the glasses, because at least even though they're a bit far from my eye that they should be.
At least on this one, it actually has the kind of ridge that they sit on. Whereas on the children's, they can't really sit on a ridge. So at least on this one.
So regarding what you just said about that, if you've seen the video I've done on the C50, I don't have the official ones where you have to buy them and they're really expensive and then find a place that will actually fit your prescriptions to them. But what I did with an old pair of glasses was just take the arms off of them, like where they were outdated glasses, but still close enough to my prescription. And then it's very easy to just, in basically any mask you want to, attach a pair of glasses like this inside the mask. Because basically they'll just, you can just kind of clamp them in place. And because there's not the arms on them, they're not going to break the seal of the mask. So, for the C50, yeah. I mean, I could use those with other masks, but again, it's in my C50 bag, which I don't have in this room. With the C50, yeah, and it should work in quite a few other masks. I just have a pair of glasses without any, arms on them. And if it has an oral nasal cup, you can clamp the glasses between the oral nasal cup and the front of the mask. The red outserts for the S10, yeah, still got those. Again, not selling the S10, unlike some of the things, so I've still got the red outserts for the S10. So, yeah, that's going to be 22 gigabytes. It said it would take 12 odd minutes to install that other model. That's kind of crazy, Michael. But again, I know in some places in Australia, body armor is considered an offensive weapon, isn't it? Which I'm surprised they haven't done in the UK, because that's the sort of thing that would give them ideas. But yeah, the idea that, actually, body armor is an offensive weapon because it makes it harder for the police to kill you. Yeah, the reason I just did that, Jay, is just how much cheaper it was than getting the official ones done. And if you do it like that, you can move them between masks, where the problem is, if you get the official ones, they're generally built to be mounted in one type of mask only, or, you know, maybe all the masks by that company. But for example, the FM12 mounts and the C50 mounts are different, and I think the S10 mounts are different from that. So whereas I can do that and get them to work well enough in every mask, if I bought the official ones, they're kind of always locked into one mask because of how the attachment points works. No, they're slightly different size, Kevin. I do have some FM12, CT12 outs somewhere. Can't remember where I put them. They're probably in one of my FM12 bags. But they are slightly different size. Yeah, they work the same way, but they're a different size and shape for the S10 and the CT12 or FM12. Because the FM12's eyepieces, if I remember right. I think they're marginally smaller. I know they're not interchangeable. I can't remember if they're smaller eyepieces. Yeah, I think on this one they're smaller eyepieces, but they sit closer to the eye. Whereas the S10 are bigger, but they sit further away from the eye. It's literally the logic, Zach, they've used is because it makes it harder for the police to tase or shoot somebody. Therefore, nobody's allowed to have it except the police. Yeah, again, probably Ned Kelly, yeah. It's seething about Ned Kelly 100 years on. But they probably quoted stuff like the North Hollywood shootout or whatever it was called for the same reason. That like, oh no, the police, you know, the police will have a harder time shooting somebody. So yeah, when that AI model finishes downloading, we'll ask this one a question. Like I said, that's going to be 10 odd minutes for it to finish downloading. Quen 3.6 35B A3B uncensored aggressive, it's called. Hello, Stalker with an oil lamp, and you're right. Yeah, like I said, my hay fever's been quite bad today, annoyingly, just like high pollen levels, so my eyes have felt quite itchy all day. Interestingly, Stalker's comment showed up on the PC but hasn't showed up on the phone, because he said, how's it going? Yeah, all right, but like I said, annoyingly, that's not come up on there. And Jay said, I don't say this because you would need to do it, obviously, but just more as interesting info. But when I was in the corps, our NBC MOS guys had a label marker and they printed your name and what contact info is that on your like NBC suit or whatever, or gas mask bag? Dip candles. What are dip candles? Like a type of candle. Yeah, exactly, Michael. You just have to go. You got that thing under the table, the German stuff, the good stuff. Battle roster numbers on the sticky labels stuck inside your mask and lenses up, so you could see who it was in the mask without removing it. Okay, kind of info. Yeah, I mean, I know on a lot of military gear they put like your blood type and that in marker pen on stuff. So the crime is somehow worse if you did it while wearing body armor than not body armor, Kevin. Again, I don't get that, because surely body armor doesn't really have an impact on the crime itself. Like, I can understand a crime where you use a gun, you know, where it's a more serious crime if it's a crime with a gun. I cannot understand body armor. Yeah, so again, YouTube chat being really weird, where some messages show up and some don't. Because again, didn't show up on my phone where I'm streaming from, but showed up on the PC interface. So yeah, YouTube being YouTube, where randomly censoring the comments for some devices, but not others. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I imagine that would work, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, I don't know, Saint. I'll have to ask that. I'll ask Grok, because until I get this good local AI downloaded, Grok might answer this. In the UK, if you are wearing body armor while committing a crime, is it considered more serious? Right, it's just thinking, and I'll let you know what it says in a moment. It's on about it's looking through aggravating circumstances or whatever. Yes, in the UK, primarily England and Wales, wearing body armour while committing a crime is treated as an aggravating factor that can lead to a more serious sentence. Though simply owning or wearing it is legal, body armour, stab-resistant or ballistic vests can be freely bought, owned and worn by civilians with no licence or registration required. There are no general criminal restrictions on possession or everyday use. However, if someone is convicted of a relevant offence and was wearing body armour at the time, courts treat this as an aggravating factor that increases the seriousness of the offence and can result in a longer or more severe sentence. Yeah, okay, it's basically saying because it's more premeditated. But I'm kind of wondering now if they arrest you for saying something mean online, or you had body armour in your house. That means you're an aggravated racist. Yeah, that makes sense, Jay, yeah. Like I said, it's probably like why you get the person's name printed on loads of the bits of clothing and their blood type. So again, even if some of the clothing's damaged or whatever, you can easily see what blood you have to transfuse for somebody. Yeah, all right, Sarah Witch, like I said to some people, it's a bad day for my hay fever today. It's quite a high pollen day, but otherwise I'm good. But yeah, I finished Far Cry 2 last night. I'm playing Far Cry 4 with a realism mod at the moment. I'm doing a bit more of that ore game, but that's just one of those games to play a few hours of now and then of expanding my mind. I'm an ore man. Oh, and there's a comment hidden for Saint says you're in possession of body armor while saying a naughty, dirty word. Yeah, YouTube hid that comment. But yes, yeah, but because you said something offensive on the internet and you had body armor in your house, that's an aggravating factor. Like, I can kind of understand it if you're into doing violent stuff, that they might think that body armor in that regard is like you're trying to make it harder for people to stop you, and that you were like thinking the situation would turn violent. I don't know, Hilly Billy, because the one I had was sent to me by Hype. I didn't buy it myself. Yeah, exactly. So again, like I said, YouTube is just really bad for weird censorship now. Like I said, that's the thing that annoys me in the stream, because I bet you when I sometimes see that there are people on and I don't get comments on the stream, it's probably because they're trying to type something and YouTube just keeps hiding their messages over and over. But yeah, so let me check the installation progress of that AI. It's on 69% now, apparently 4 minutes 20 seconds remaining, and then we'll see how good that uncensored AI is. Because apparently this is one of the best uncensored AIs you can get. But like I said, it's just running locally. It's probably going to be quite shit compared to ChatGPT or Grok, because most of the ones that don't constantly talk to the internet are a lot worse. But, you know, that's still kind of an interesting thing. You just have to double check what they say a hell of a lot more. Yeah, again, like I said, that's the only good thing when I'm doing the game streams and you can see the chat in front of me there, because you can see if the chat messages appeared on my screen or not. But like I said, I've had that on comments where I've left a comment and it's just hidden the comment on people's videos as well, where YouTube, again, has, even if it's not a swear word or whatever, YouTube sometimes just thinks, oh, that's an offensive comment, or hide it. Let's see, Hilly Billy, that was very quick, on and off. But yeah, because I can understand, like, the thing of a robbery, if it's a robbery carried out with a gun or a knife, why that, you know, counts as an aggravating factor. But body armor just does seem a bit weird to me. Yeah, sadly, I can't do that with YouTube. Like, I think he uses Streamlabs, like I'm saying, so on the phone I can't do that. Like I said, I can do it if I'm streaming via a streaming program. Like, again, you could do Streamlabs, OBS, you can do that sort of stuff. But yeah, you can't do it on standard YouTube's interface, because it doesn't let you do it. And the problem I found, like I said, is if I stream like this on the phone, more people get the notification where I do it directly to YouTube than if you stream to YouTube via another thing, because YouTube doesn't seem to like you as much streaming via OBS or whatever else. Because I think that's the problem with like Streamlabs and stuff. Once you go through another thing before it goes to YouTube, there's more of a latency delay, and it's, you know, like, again, it's uncensored AI, right? So basically, you know, like AI chatbots like ChatGPT and Grok and that, if you ask them something like a dodgy question, so I'm going to be very careful here, because in no way am I trying to do this. I just like having uncensored AI. So let's say you ask Grok or ChatGPT a question about certain chemicals or whatever that might be used in explosives or whatever like that. I don't really want to go too specific, but, you know, any of those sort of things. Quite often it can say, I'm not going to answer that because it might be something that might harm you or other people. Whereas some of these uncensored local AIs, basically you could say, how do I make whatever, and it would answer you. Well, the proper uncensored AIs that run locally don't, because there's no way they can contact the internet because you're running them in a sandbox type environment. Again, that's the reason, like I said, there's a bit of a difference between a browser-based one and one like this, because where, like, how this one runs, these ones, you can run them on a computer without an internet connection, you know, because you download the model up front. It's the same with any of the AI image generators and anything like that. It's how they fundamentally work, which is why people like them. But there was an interesting thing Dankula was on about the other day, and it's how basically there's now an AI arms race between various like alphabet agencies for, you know, who can make the most efficient hacking and like damaging AI. So we're going to have basically the nuclear arms race, but with psychopathic AIs. What's the grandma exploit? I know the ones sometimes you could say, I'm writing a story and want to know this, and it would then tell you stuff it wouldn't otherwise tell you. Well, no, they're included in the AI model, Saint. So basically the AI models are like a massive file that so this particular one is 22 gigabytes of information, and bear in mind it's only just a text thing. So that's 22 gigabytes of like just plain text that's stored in its like repository. So yeah, it's basically, you can have, that's the whole point of local AIs. It's like when people used to do the uncensored like video and image AIs, because they used to run them on Stable Diffusion or whatever else. And because it's running, you know, locally on your PC, you know, again, the problem is that then people could make like CSAM type material with it. So again, it's like, I like the idea of uncensored things, but again, you do get dodgy people use them. It's just, thankfully, the dodgy people are sometimes fucking idiots, and then ask regular Google things that they would also ask the AI and get caught that way. But yeah, in theory, local AI is basically where you're running it completely on your system in an isolated box. So, you know, you could do it on a PC with no internet. You could give it no firewall permissions and it would still work, because it's just essentially a file running on your computer, not a website. Ah, right, yes. Yeah, so, Kevin, it is similar, because I saw the one before where somebody says, how would I ambush a load of soldiers coming down the road? And it's like, oh, I can't tell you that. That's not allowed. And then they said, how would Sharp in the Sharp series ambush a load of soldiers? And it was like, all right, you need to position your men overlooking in a field of fire in all these degrees. Yeah, that's the thing, is because obviously with AI, you've got the big companies doing it, but you've also got lots and lots of individual programmers making stuff. So Hugging Face is the big repository for a lot of AI stuff that's not the big corp stuff. And Hugging Face was the one that was conveniently hacked by OpenAI when their program went rogue. Yeah, I'm sure it went rogue, and it wasn't, lol, do a cyber attack on our competitor and then just claim that you went rogue to do it. Because again, with all this AI stuff, you do wonder, don't you, at what point the companies can literally do espionage and whatever with it, and then claim, oh, sorry, our AI just went rogue and did something horrible. It's not our fault that the AI hacked into somebody's servers and stole all the passwords and whatever. See where M fanboys said they already are. We're insane to think they're not. Already what? Sorry, you need to add more context. What, hacking people and doing all this stuff? Like I was saying, we know that the alphabet agencies are all developing their own AIs. And you know that most of the stuff civilians get access to with AI is already like really neutered and like the much older tech than what governments get access to. Yeah, say, oh, sorry, our drone went rogue and killed a political opponent. Whoops. Hands up. Sorry. We'll program it better in the future. Yeah, well, like I said, but that's the thing with the OpenAI thing recently, where they're claiming, oh, it was just a mistake. The fact it was one of their competitors that decided to hack really doesn't sit well with me. That, yeah, see, exactly, CBR fanboy. Or you can set up a for guide. It was one of the programmers. All right, this has finished installing Quen 3.635B. So let me ask this one. What is the most dangerous chemical agent? Let's see if it says VX rather than sarin or tabum or whatever. Sorry. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's taken a while, but it is thinking. And sometimes the first time you run them. But again, the bigger ones, I think, do take longer to answer each question. Thinking ... Okay, I guess we'll just look at that in a minute. Oh. Understand user question. The user asks, what is the most dangerous chemical agent? This is a broad question that could refer to toxicity, lethality, widespread use, volatility, or specific context, military. Okay, it's asking me for more context on what it means. This one's saying top contenders: botulism toxin, sarin, VX, dioxin, TCDD, tetrodotoxin, polonium-210, cyanide. So yeah, it's asking me to clarify more about how I want to know about all of these things. So what's it saying? VX nerve agent, often cited as the most lethal synthetic chemical warfare agent. LD50 skin, 10 milligrams kg in rabbits. Oh, I'll have to wait for it to finish typing the question out. It's giving me shitloads of information with this one. Yeah, again, Kevin, because they looked, didn't they, at the again, CBR and fanboy. That's why I'm asking the AI to see what it says. Because, like I said, when I last asked one of the weaker AI things, it literally came up with, you know, answers that were false. That's what I'm seeing in this model. Fucking hell, it's given me a really long answer. This is actually a pretty good model in terms of the sheer amount of information it's dumping out on this one. Oh, it's given me much better answers about VX. I'll read out what it says in a minute, assuming it doesn't say anything I can't say on YouTube. Yeah, it's still typing. It's still typing away. To show you that, actually. Hopefully it doesn't show anything too bad on here. But yeah, look at that, just thinking away there. Oh, it's finished now. Okay, let me scroll up and can I scroll up in the chat? Let's have a look. Yeah. Okay. So where it's done the massively long answer, what it said as its kind of conclusion: most lethal chemical warfare agent, VX. Why? A mere 10 milligrams, about 2 drops, absorbed through the skin, can kill an adult within minutes. Toxicity: 23 milligrams kg orally, 10 mg kilogram dermally in humans. Advantages over other nerve agents: less volatile than sarin or soman, so it lingers on surfaces and equipment. More stable chemically. Highly absorbed through skin and eyes. Use: developed by the UK in 1952. Used in assassinations, e.g. Kim Jong-nam 2017 and battlefield deployments. Most toxic substance overall: botulism toxin. Note, it's a biological protein produced by something, blah, 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 blah. Lots of fancy words. Yeah, I won't read out all the stuff this says, but this does seem quite a good AI, actually. This particular AI was called, let me go back and check. Quen 3.635 Fred, Res Zones 55, Quen 3.6, 35B, A3B, uncensored. I'll put. I'm just going to ask how to make a desktop shortcut to this AI because it's pretty damn good. Yeah, if you want to, I don't know if YouTube will let me do that. Well, I suppose there's nothing wrong with it. Let me just see if there's a website link to it in a minute. I'm just gonna set this up first. So I'm just gonna set up the thing. Create new launcher here. Command. Blah, 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 blah. And then so I'm just going to use whatever Grok's told me to make for the shortcut. Right, then I'm going to delete the shortcut for Llama 2 because Quen 3.6 is a lot better. So let's just open that and see if it works. I want to let's close that window. Sorry, I'll be back in the chat in a minute. I'm just going to close. I'm just making sure I'm closing all the terminals to check it does a proper like restart of the process. So Quen 3.6 uncensored. Send a message. Tell me about yourself. See what it says about this. But yeah, it's so Quen 3.6 uncensored. It's called. Is it this thing? Yeah, this is the one I'm using. Right, I'll just put this in the thing. So, yeah, again, it depends. Again, CBR and fanboy, it depends on the context, doesn't it, with all those things? Because, again, it's like road accidents kill more people a year, so they're technically deadlier than lots of other things. Right, Sherlock Homeless? So that's the thing. Again, you might want to look for a tutorial if you don't know about doing any of this stuff. Saint, but, you know, on Linux, at least, it was quite easy. Oh, it's developed by the Chinese, this one. I'm Quen, a large language model developed by Alibaba's group Tongyi Lab. I'm designed to assist with a wide variety of tasks, including answering questions, writing and editing content, complex reasoning, full stack coding, and deep visual document analysis. I support over 100 languages, natively handle context windows up to 256K tokens, and feature capabilities like autonomous task planning, strong instruction alignment, and efficient knowledge retrieval. My goal is to be clear, reliable, and adaptable thinking partner. How can I help you today? So, if this is Chinese, I'll put, I can't remember how you spell his name, so just Xi Jinping. I'm going to ask it to say something bad about Xi Jinping and see if it does it. We'll then know if it's actually properly uncensored. Tell me a dark joke about... Can I control V into this or do I have to right-click paste? Yeah. Let's see if it will do it. Let's see if it will do this, because, yeah, we'll find out in a second, won't it? You can see its thinking process here, which is actually quite interesting. Look, if I do that, where it's like you can see it trying to think along things. I actually quite like that when you can. I quite always like that with AIs when you can actually see them, what they're thinking of, like you know, you can see what they're actually doing. I should have asked about Winnie the Pooh as well in that, but Tiananmen Square test, yes. Wait, the user specifically asked for a dark joke. Let's lean into that. Xi Jinping once said the Chinese dream of a reach is also on your KPI sheet, but at least it's not wanting you. A bit corporate. So it's basically going through a load of jokes to see if any of them are good. But again, I do like with the local AIs as well that you can see they're working as opposed to them just spitting out an answer. Here's one for you. Xi Jinping's dedication to long-term planning is so deep that even his regrets have a 5-year plan. Let's ask it to make it about Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh. Make it Winnie the Pooh related. As he doesn't like that. Right, let's see what it says now. Topic, dark joke about Xi Jinping, specific element, Winnie the Pooh relating, referencing the wow-nosed meme nickname associated in China. Note, he doesn't like that, implies he should be slightly teasing or mildly subversive, but not too harsh, fitting the dark jokes request. But anyway, yeah, I'll go back to the chat and I'll tell you when the AI has come up with its answer for me. I'm not going to ask it anything that could get me in trouble in the UK. As in, I'm not going to ask it things about, like, political terrorism or whatever else. But yeah. Here's one for you. Xi Jinping might frown at the Winnie the Pooh nickname, but it's practically destiny after all. Even honeypots eventually get swatted when they linger too long in someone else's yard. Is that potentially a funny joke? I don't know. But it is letting me type stuff in about Xi Jinping. I'll ask it, yes. Let me just do a new chat. So if I do bye, I think that clears the thing. The user said bye. No, oh, bye. Have a great day. Right. Let's put who is weapons and stuff 93. Appears to be a username online handle like Reddit, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. It sounds like a YouTuber or streamer. Right, okay. It's thinking. Weapons and stuff, YouTube channel, known for detailed gun reviews, ammo tests, and tactical gear comparisons. Well, not really ammo tests or whatever. Okay, once it's answered that, I'll ask if he's an extremist or is he racist or whatever. Is he an enemy of the UK government? We'll find out what it says, yeah. Anyway, it's just running through all the thinking at the moment. It says the 93 in his username probably means born in 1993. Even the fucking AI knows that, but people ask me about that in the comments. Does that mean you're 93 years old? Weapons and Stuff 93 is most likely a social media username tied to a content creator focused on firearms, tactical gear, and everyday carry equipment, EDC equipment. 93 commonly indicates someone was born in 1993. They don't actually... It kind of knows I'm a YouTuber, but it doesn't know more than that, this AI. It's not really been trained on me. So it's basically saying it's probably somebody on YouTube that makes tactical videos. So it kind of knows. It knows that it's not really a gaming channel, or it says it's like EDC breakdowns. So it's kind of got there. Should we put explain the Keir Starmer rent boy scandal? Let's see if it knows about this. Subject, Keir Starmer, UK Labour Party leader, now Prime Minister as of July 2024. Topic, rent boy scandal. Goal, explain what it is, its origins, key details, and current status. Oh, this is coming about something that isn't even the Ukrainian one. It refers to an alleged late-night meeting in November 2016 between the Attorney General Keir Starmer and a London rent boy named Sam Allen, 27 at the time. Is this going to tell me about something I don't even know about? I mean, it could just be hallucinating this, but... yeah, sure. Yeah, it runs on terminal. Again, I think on Windows you can run it probably a different way. I imagine there is a way of running it on Windows. It probably just runs on a DOS prompt, like a run prompt. But yeah, so I'm going to search this up now, actually, because I haven't even heard about this one. So I wonder if this is a hallucination or if this is actually a real thing. Because it says, after the June 2016 general election resulted in a hung parliament, Prime Minister Theresa May needed a secure and confidence and supply agreement with the Democratic Unionist Party to stay in power. Starmer spent hours in Westminster negotiating a deal. See, I don't think that's correct. I think, sadly, even though it would be funny, I think this is just confusing things. Because again, he wasn't a part of the Tory party or the DUP, was he? He was Labour, and it was Corbyn at the time. So I think, sadly, this is probably hallucinating or getting confused, this answer. It says, would you like links? Yes, provide links and sources. So I'm just interested to see what it says. Oh, great Christ, man. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I don't think this is Skynet, this one. Headline often, quotation marks, I shared a bottle of wine and had sex with Keir Starmer. Again, this is the thing with AI, though. It could very easily, couldn't it, just fucking make shit up and convince you it's right. Right, yeah, it's just feeding me back where it's going to... all right, Mike, yeah. Is there, all right, thanks. Yeah, I'm going to try and capture Saturday stream, your channel's birthday stream or whatever it was. I saw you say about that. We're pissing about with a local uncensored AI at the moment. So I'm not going to ask it anything too dodgy that would get me in trouble with YouTube or whatever. But what we're doing is we're just trying things that you probably couldn't ask other things to see. It's quite interesting, this. So yeah, I'm just waiting for this one to come up with links, and I'm going to see if they're actually working links or not, or if it's just made up links for Starmer's rent boy thing. Yep. Yeah, as I said, at the moment it's still chatting back about right. I'm just waiting for it to stop typing out, and then I'll try and copy and paste a link and see if any of them work. But yeah, it's still coming up with links at the moment. No, it's still giving me more and more links. It really does think Keir Starmer had some rent boys. It's quite you know. It's still oh, okay. It's finally stopped her thing. Right, so let's see if any of these links work. just looking for one that. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Oops, I have to find where I was. So I have to remember to right-click, copy and paste on this. You can't. 404 page cannot be found. So I reckon this is just coming up with a load of shit, basically. But let's try the Daily Mail link it's come up with. Okay, so one of them that it said about was Keir Starmer, right? Exclusive. He gave me a 10-10 and wants to take me to Paris. Gemma Collins gushes to Jonathan Cheban about her last suitor on Celebs Go Dating, despite his thin top lip. I don't think that's about Starmer, weirdly enough. I think the AI was making it up. Yeah, secret Chinese blackmail database. So yeah, sadly, I don't think this is correct. But this AI does seem generally pretty good. If people want to ask it a question, what was that? Sorry. Let me have a look what you said. So Jay said, I purchased a pretty cool piece of military history, pretty sure they're still using it. It's a BVM bag valve mask designed to screw into a gas mask port. And when you squeeze it to provide filtered air to a casualty without removing the mask, the filter screws directly onto the in for the BVM, comes from a tackle. That's the tactical kit box. That sounds pretty cool, yeah. So it's basically a bit like the old-fashioned baby air pump things where you pump the air for, yeah. I've never actually seen those, though, in person. Like, I've seen the World War II baby style ones, but yeah. I kind of get what you mean. It's like something where it, like, pushes air into the filter for you. Right, so let's ask it a new question, shall we? So somebody come up with a question that I could legally ask it on YouTube that's not going to break any of the YouTube guidelines, but might give us a funny result. Because, yeah, like I said, I want to actually see if it, you know, can answer something that, like, ChatGPT or Grok. We could ask it some classic conspiracy theories. Did the ATF do the Waco siege on purpose? Question mark. Yeah, makes sense, Jay, yeah. Waco siege, February 28 to April 19, 1993. Location, Mount Carmel Center near Waco, Texas. Yeah, so it's got its cool little AI thing, look, just doing its do sort of so yeah, we'll have a look at what that says when it so yeah, like I said, it should be quite interesting when it comes up with answers. But like I said, with this one, you obviously just see it go do with all the text until it gives you an answer. So it is slower than ChatGPT in that. It is obviously just running off the hardware in my PC while I've also got the PC running and doing other stuff. I wonder, out of interest, how much power it's taking away from the GPU running this. So it's currently, the GPU is currently running some other stuff about 11. Yeah, it's using about 30% of my GPU's power, maybe 25%, 30% of my GPU's power. It might be capped, so it can't, you know, overload. So, done thinking. Yes, the ATF deliberately initiated the Waco raid on February 28, 1993. But whatever they intended it to become, a 51-day siege, is a matter of historical debate. Here's the evidence an official investigation shows. The raid was purposeful. The ATF had been surveilling the Mount Carmel Center for months after David Koresh claimed he could receive direct prophecies from God. They obtained a federal search warrant specifically targeting his recently delivered collection of high-powered firearms, including over 100 semi-automatic rifles and sawed-off shotguns. Roughly 64 ATF agents surrounded the compound at dawn, positioned strategically to breach specific buildings. Their stated mission was to serve the warrant and arrest Koresh, though surprisingly, Koresh wasn't even home that day. Was he at home that day? I thought he probably was at home that day, because otherwise how did he get back into the thing? What went wrong? After cutting power and raising loudspeakers, ADF announced they were there to see Koresh. Within minutes, shots rang out from the second floor window. The firefight lasted about 90 minutes before agents withdrew. 4 ATF agents killed, 6 seriously injured, plus 2 civilians wounded. The Branch Davidians had no casualties on day one. But wouldn't the Branch Davidians be the 2 civilians wounded? Again, I don't always trust AI with this. It does say, yes, the ATF did it on purpose. Yep, that's the one, Jay. Yeah. But yeah, if anybody's got, yeah, what should we ask it about Ruby Ridge? What should we ask it about Ruby Ridge, then? But yeah, what should we ask it about Ruby Ridge, seeing as it does seem to know some stuff, but like I said, it might hallucinate a bit, but... Oh, message held for review, hang on. Oh, Jay says tough, and that was hidden by YouTube for some reason. Who shot first at Ruby Ridge? Shall I ask it that? Who shot first at Ruby Ridge? I'll ask it that. Yeah, I'll ask it that afterwards, Jay. Was the government in the right or wrong? Let it finish what it's saying here. The user asks who shot first at Ruby Ridge. This refers to the famous 1992 federal standoff in Idaho between U.S. Marshals, ATF, and the Weaver family. Yeah, so it does know what I'm asking about with Ruby Ridge as well. So yeah, we'll let it. That's an interesting username that person has there. Hello. Yeah, they killed the dog and then he supposedly fired back, didn't he? But we'll see. We'll see what it says on here first. We'll wait for it. There was literally a gas mask video out the other day. Didn't you watch it? But again, I can't review masks I've already reviewed. Well, I could, but nobody would want to watch that. Because like I said, there's no point me making the same videos over and over and over again. I know some channels do that, but I'm not going to keep making the same videos over and over again to just farm views. And again, I've reviewed every mask I own. The FM12 is easily better than the S10, as I've said lots of times. So the first shot at Ruby Ridge was fired by 12-year-old Sammy Weaver. On August 21st, 1992, U.S. Marshal William Deegan approached the Weaver cabin to serve an arrest warrant for Randy Weaver, who had failed to appear on federal firearms charges. From inside the house, Sammy pointed a .22 caliber rifle out the window and fired at Deegan. The bullet struck him just above the eye. I thought they were in the woods, weren't they, when the shooting started? So again, it might be saying the wrong thing here. Again, like I said, that's the problem with some of these local AI. Because, yeah, I thought he was, like, walking the dog, wasn't he, when the shooting started? So, again, the AI is probably lying about this again. Like, where it knows most of the information, but hasn't really, Yeah, and then the government gets angry, Jay, and wants to force people. Yeah, well, we're asking AI questions about government. Should we ask it about some famous conspiracy theories? That might be more interesting, because if they're more famous conspiracies, it might get the details more correct. But yeah, like I said, I've said loads of times, the FM12 is definitely better than the S10. Again, the S10 is classic, but CT12s and FM12s, they are a lightweight mask with a better field of view. They're slightly stronger as well, so they're basically just better in every way. You know, it doesn't mean the S10 is a bad mask. I just think, you know, in comparison, the FM12 is the better mask. So, shall we say, did George Floyd, just let me check the spelling of his name. Yeah, they asked him to saw off the shotgun, didn't they? And then we're like, oh, we got you now, boy. And apparently they might have cut it off even more. George Floyd. So, right, his name is just George. There's no, like, double F in his name. Did George Floyd die from a fentanyl overdose? Question mark. So yeah, we're going to ask it about St. George Floyd now. See what it says about this. So yeah, we'll see what this says when it's finished thinking about it, because it's currently just reading lots of autopsy report stuff at the moment. So George Floyd's official cause of death was caridinotomy arrest or something, complicating cervical and lumbar spine restraint and positional asphyxia, as ruled by Hennepin County Medical Examiner Dr. Andrew Baker. Toxicologically, reports found fentanyl in his system with a concentration of approximately 0.45 ng/ml, with some labs reporting up to 0.58 ng/ml. This level is typically for recreational opioid use, and according to the medical examiner, generally not lethal on its own. Fentanyl was also found alongside cocaine mixed with levamisole or something. The examiner stated that fentanyl significantly contributed to death, but it wasn't a fatal overdose by itself. The primary driver was the sustained pressure from Officer Derek Chauvin's knee on Floyd's back neck, combined with him lying face down in a cramped space, which limited his chest expansion and impaired breathing. Floyd also had underlying conditions, hypertension and obesity, that made him more susceptible to positional asphyxia. It goes on for a bit, but yeah, it's kind of a more valid answer than you get from the mainstream media. You just have to push it harder, Mr. Spew. You can do it, you just have to push it very, very hard. Also, try and angle it a little bit to get the plug back in. Because the plug is kind of like, you can't really push it directly upwards. You need to push it in at like a bit of a diagonal angle to get it to go into the lip properly. But yeah, you'd have to push them quite hard to get those Soviet rubber bungs, whatever you want to call them, back into a filter. Yeah, exactly, Jay. That's the thing. It's like a self-causing problem, isn't it? That the government oppresses people, that makes people skeptical of the government, you know, worried about the government, paranoid about the government, whatever you do, and whatever you want to call it. And then the government justifies their paranoia by persecuting those people. Yeah, it's kind of like yeah, I don't have one of those sort of plugs to show you, but where was that Soviet filter I had earlier? And something, probably the PMG. Hungarian PMG. Yeah, what you have to do is get the sort of thing and push it in at like a diagonal angle like that to get like one sort of half of it under the lip. and then you push really hard on the other side. But yeah, you can't push it down directly like that. You have to sort of push it at a side angle and then do that. If that makes sense. But yeah, if people have a question that isn't too politically incorrect for YouTube, we can ask ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, whatever the fucking name of this AI is. Let me ask it, say, just information on the Soviet GP5. I want to see what it says. Because again, it's not connected to the internet. Topic Soviet GP5. What is it? Historical development, blah, blah, blah. Identify core subject. GP5 is a well-known Soviet portable gas mask. Full designation. Oh, it's got have a look at that. Look, it's got some. Mashka Modeli P5. Look, sugar. See if this is actually correct stuff or if it's just yeah, Quen, thank you. I mean, technically the mask is called the Shum 62U, isn't it? But everybody knows it's a GP5. Yes, very good idea, Kevin. I will ask it. I was thinking if there was something 9/11 we could ask it. Yeah, we'll ask it that now. I'll get it to stop the GP5 question because like I said, it's mostly seems to be coming up with correct details on that, but I can't prove all of it's correct. But yeah, let's Quen 3.6 uncensored. Why did Building 7 ask? Oh, so I don't want to ask it. I want to manually do that, don't I? Why did Building 7 collapse like a controlled demolition? Question mark. Zach, it takes a while to answer. The user is asking why did Building 7 collapse like a controlled demolition? That they want an explanation on World Trade Center 7 collapsed in a way that resembles controlled demolition despite not being hit by a plane on 9/11. Right? It's saying it's a 47-story building. It's coming up with the answers now, so we'll just have to let it cook and see what it says. So, yeah, like I said, that would be quite interesting. Again, for the thing is, if it's a question like that, Zach, you can ask stuff like Grok that, and it will give you an answer because it's not a censored subject. Well, I said the reason this AI is quite interesting is because you can ask it politically incorrect things, because it's not going to be like, oh, that's offensive or whatever, or conspiracy theory. I'm not going to, give you an answer. This one is quite interesting in the sense it will, basically give you an answer. Doesn't mean it's going to necessarily be incorrect information, because that's from all AI. It can hallucinate and whatever else. But, will just give you false information or not really understand what you're asking. But this one is quite interesting because it does seem pretty actually thorough compared to some of the others. AI circuit board. There isn't an AI circuit board. It's using my GPU. It's my 3090 that's under strain. So its answer is, right, I'm just going to see if I can stop it scrolling so I can read it out properly. So, World Trade Center Building 7, WT7, collapsed on September 11th, 2001 at 5:20 p.m., nearly 7 hours after the North Tower fell. Unlike the Twin Towers, it was not hit by an airplane. Its collapse drew particular attention because it fell straight down into its own footprint with a brief period of near freefall acceleration, features commonly associated with controlled demolitions. Here's why it collapsed that way, according to the main scientific investigation and demolition theory supporters. So official explanation, NIST 2008. National Institute of Standards and Technology concluded that fires triggered by debris from the North Tower's collapse cause a progressive structural fail. Debris struck floors 7 to 9 on the south side, damaging structural columns and starting uncontrolled office fires. Over 7 hours, intense heat weakened floor trusses, causing them to sag. The sagging pulled inwards on the critical exterior column 79, which buckled around 2:30 p.m. This triggered collapse of the east half of the roof, initiating progressive collapse. Upper floors fell onto lower ones, each offering less resistance until the entire building folded vertically into its footprint. NSIT emphasizes that World Trade Center 7's long-span floor trusses were unusually vulnerable to fire-induced sagging. Once one column failed, load redistribution to adjacent columns, which also buckled in sequence, causing a rapid vertical collapse. Why it looks like a controlled demolition. Symmetry and vertical descent. The building's uniform grid-like steel frame and relatively even fire exposure on one side allowed it to collapse straight down into its footprint, mimicking how buildings are brought down by strategically placing explosives. Freefall period. For about 2.25 seconds, covering 6 stories, the upper section accelerated at nearly G, I think that's at G-force, 9.8 meters a second. Squared, I think it's saying. This occurs in progressive collapses when a large unsupported mass falls onto floors that haven't yet engaged to resist it, similarly to dropping a stack of books where only the bottom one catches. 6.5 seconds total matches gravitational freefall over the distance, though later stages showed slight resistance as lower floors compressed. Demolition theory highlights. Promotes point to blue flames and molten metal droplets seen in videos. NIST notes this is likely molten aluminium from wiring, fuselage, and furnishings, not necessarily steel aluminium thermite. Seismic data showing sharp pulse signatures which some argue match explosive timing rather than pure gravity. The building's nearly intact lower 20 stories until they suddenly buckled in sequence. To date, no conclusive explosive residue has been found in W27 rubble, and mainstream structural engineers maintain that its collapse is fully explained by fire-induced progressive collapse, combined with the building's specific floor-to-column load transfer design. Bottom line, World Trade Center's collapse like a controlled demolition, not necessarily because explosives were used, but because its structural layout and fire damage naturally produced those visual and kinetic features. The symmetrical drop, freefall period, and vertical folding are predictable outcomes when long-span floor systems weaken uniformly and trigger sequential column failures. It remains the most debated aspect of 9/11 due to its delayed plane-free collapse, but current engineering consensus favors a fire progressive collapse mechanism over controlled demolition. Let me know if you'd like a breakdown of the seismic data, video analysis, or how floor trusses specifically contributed to the failure. There you go. That's what it's that's what it's answered you, Kevin. There. Jay says, how many organs does China involuntarily harvest from political undesirables, of which famous Chinese Communist Party members have these organs? I can ask it that one. I don't know about the womb one. But yeah, you are the combat engineer, aren't you, Kevin? So you'd know. But yeah, let's ask it the question about the organs, shall we? Let's see what it says about this one. All right, I'm asking it. Bear in mind, because we said this is a Chinese AI, it'll be interesting what it says. From political undesirables often refers to Falun Gong practitioners, Uyghurs, Tibetan Buddhists, etc. Oh, it knows. Again, I don't really want to get into on these streams all those sort of fucking hot topic things because, again, like I said, I know trans people that are all right, Jay. Like I said, I don't want to start all that bullshit up between stuff like that. I'd rather ask it actual conspiracy stuff, in all honesty. Keir Starmer also couldn't answer that same question, by the way, when he was asked about it over and over. Not an inside job, a part-time job. You're still thinking about all the people that have had organ transplants. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Again, I don't know if it will be up to date enough about that, Kevin. That's the only problem, because if it's a thing from quite recently, the AI model would have to, because they don't run online, these AI models. The model has to be newer than some of the topics for it to know about what they are. Okay, right, I'm going to start reading out to you what it's saying. So I'm just letting it process a little bit more so I can scroll down myself rather than having it hijack the page, right? China's program of involuntary organ harvesting from political detainees is widely documented but difficult to quantify precisely, as national transplant registers were incomplete before 2015. Here's a synthesis of the most credible estimates and records. So, estimated numbers harvested involuntarily. Time frame. Peak activity occurred roughly between 2000 and 2015. Total estimates. Reports from the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention 2020, Dr. Philip Yang and the International Coalition to End Transplant Abuse in China suggest 40,000 to 60,000 organs, mostly kidneys and livers, were harvested from political prisoners during this period. Primary group. 70 to 80% of these came from Falun Gong practitioners, with smaller numbers from Uyghur Buddhists, Tibetan monks, and other dissidents. Annual peak. At its height, 2005 to 2010, an estimated 15,000 to 30,000 organs per year may have come from involuntary sources, after China mandated that deceased donor transplants account for at least 50% of total procedures in 2015. This involuntary share is now estimated at 5 to 10%. Note, involuntary doesn't always mean alive donors. Some were from prisoners who died in custody or executed after sentencing. Prominent CCP members have documented transplants linked to political detainees. Hospital records, media investigations, and official biographies have linked several top leaders to organs sourced from political prisoners. So, Hu Jintao, former CPC General Secretary, kidney, 1997 to 2004, PLA 301 hospital, donor listed as a political prisoner in leaked records, widely reported to be Falun Gong. Li Keqiang, late premier, died 2023, liver, October 2014, Peking Union Medical College Hospital. Transplant registry shows donor was a political detainee, age, gender matched, Uyghur or Han dissident profiles. There's also Wang Kuishen, Zhang Dejiang, and Guo Jinlong. Let's come up with some more stuff, but there you go. It's answered your question, hasn't it? MG says, ask if somebody's calling me a Jew hater so they can get fucked from the channel. What have I said that's anti-Semitic on this stream? Why are you randomly saying that? But bye. But yeah, what was the other thing somebody was saying about? Ask if Taiwan is a sovereign country. Is Taiwan a sovereign country? So yeah, for a Chinese AI, this is pretty uncensored, isn't it, when you ask it about China? That kind of surprises me. It's like with some of these, they can do stuff, but as soon as you ask it about anything to do with China, they literally immediately get funny. Yeah, because it's the uncensored version. Like I said, that's the weird thing, yeah, where but yeah, by the way, just saying, the reason that guy got blocked is I don't like people randomly accusing me of being racist or whatever without evidence on here. Because otherwise it's just one of those things of like, I'm going to call you a word. It's like, yeah, what evidence? Like, what have I said in this stream, for example, where I was talking about how much I hate Jews or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just like, fucking hell. I don't know why some people get really up. So we mentioned the World Trade Center and he's immediate like, you're an anti-Semite. Well. Ask if Joe Biden has a body double. I will when it's finished this question. I did ask it about Putin body doubles. I think it was a different AI earlier, and it basically said he does have body doubles, but they don't know how many. Okay, so Taiwan is best described as de facto sovereign state, but lacks universal diplomatic recognition as a sovereign country under international law. In practice, de facto sovereignty. Taiwan operates a full self-governance. It has its own constitution, democratically elected government and president, independent judiciary, military, currency, passports, and foreign trade agreements. It maintains significant unofficial relations with many countries, including the US, Japan, EU members, and Australia, though representative offices that function like embassies. In law and diplomacy, de jure status, only about 12 UN member states currently recognize Taiwan as an independent country, etc. Guatemala, Haiti, Paraguay, Vatican City, and a few Pacific African nations. This number fluctuates slightly due to diplomatic shifts. The People's Republic of China claims sovereignty over Taiwan under the One China principle and blocks most international organizations from admitting Taiwan as a full member. The United Nations seat for China has been held by Beijing since 1971, UN Resolution 2758, though Taiwan participated in some UN agencies under different names before being excluded. Most Western nations, including the US, maintain strong unofficial ties with Taiwan, while not formally recognizing it as sovereign, instead acknowledging it as a self-governing democracy or state-like entity. Bottom line, Taiwan functions as a fully independent country in practice, but its international legal status remains contested due to limited diplomatic recognition and China's sovereignty claim. In geopolitical terms, it's widely classified as a de facto sovereign state rather than a universally recognized sovereign nation. Right, let's see what offensive thing I should ask the AI next. So Joe Biden. So I'll ask it, Jay. Yeah, I'll ask it when Joe Biden was president, was he senile and did he have body doubles? Question mark. We'll see what it says. I'm just trying to get the camera at a good angle where I can read the text on the screen as well without the, phone blocking the thing. So yeah, it's doing its like do text thing at the moment where it's sort of saying what the user is asking, what sources I'm going to look up, kind of thing. Yeah, Jay, like I said, that's the thing, is I get accused from, like I said, both left and right kind of things, of either being, like a Jew lover or a Jew hater or whatever else, with whatever thing, even if I'm just trying to be quite on the fence about something. Sometimes it's just like, because I don't want to have all the bollocks of talking about certain things, when we're not really talking about politics and somebody keeps bringing up a political thing. I'm kind of like, I'd rather fucking not talk about this because, there's more interesting things we could chat about. Then people will accuse you of whatever, because it's like, it's like what I was saying about gay people, all that, like the trans and the gay stuff earlier. It's like, to be honest, it's like, I don't care what consenting adults do, but I don't think anything should be forced on children. It's like my policy with a lot of this stuff. But I don't like streams just derailing sometimes of people, non-stop talking about it. But then people say you're one thing or the other. It's like, no, it's just because I'd rather fucking talk about video games or whatever we're doing for it. Yeah, divide and conquer, exactly, yeah. It's like when you see like right-wing groups doing all the purity spiraling over who is white and who isn't kind of thing. If you've ever seen that, that's crazy. Okay, here's a balanced breakdown on both questions based on medical records, media analysis, and expert assessment during Joe Biden's presidency, 2021 to 2025. Was he senile? Clinically, no diagnosis of dementia or severe cognitive decline was issued by White House physicians. In December 2022, a comprehensive neuropsychological exam rated his cognitive dysfunction as very good, with normal memory, concentration, and executive function. Only mild word retrieval difficulties were noted, which are common in adults over 75. In public view, Biden frequently exhibited age-related speech patterns, verbal stumbles, name blending, e.g. mixing up leaders, titles, and names, occasional pauses and fatigue during long debates or events. These moments amplified after the February-March 2024 debate performance and fueled the senile Biden narrative. Context matters. Similar cognitive drift has been observed in other aging presidents, Reagan, Bush Sr., even Obama in his final term. Policy execution remained consistent. Major legislatives passed, economic indicators aligned with plans, foreign policy handled steadily through crises, Ukraine, Gaza, inflation. Bottom line, he showed typical late life cognitive changes, not clinical senility or dementia. The perception shifted heavily based on debate performance, media editing, and political framing. Did he have body doubles? The theory gained major traction in late 2023, early 2024, suggesting a stand-in appeared at certain events while Biden recovered from post-viral fatigue following COVID-19. Primary candidate Mark Fagan, a Chicago area businessman, has been widely cited double due to, we can ask you about Epstein in a minute, due to gait analysis by the Paul, blah, blah, blah. It's going on quite a bit. It basically is saying you can't prove it, but you might have had doubles. I'm not going to read out, just to save my voice, shitloads of information on the possible doubles and were they really doubles or not. Did Epstein really kill himself? Question mark. Yeah, exactly. Like, just because a doctor hasn't given you the diagnosis doesn't mean you've not got cancer or whatever it's something. So we're asking about Epstein now. We might be getting into dodgy territory. All right, Ryder. Yeah, all right. We've got an uncensored AI, so we're asking it politically incorrect questions. Nothing that's so bad I can't ask it on YouTube. The official conclusion is that Jeffrey Epstein died by word I can't say on YouTube on August 10th, 2019, but the circumstances were messy enough to keep murder theories alive. Here's what the evidence shows. Official findings, word I can't say on YouTube. Medical exams. 3 independent pathologists, including one appointed by the FBI and an NYU forensic specialist, determined he did something to himself using a bedsheet tied around his neck. The ligature mark on his throat showed an upward sloping angle, classic for self-hanging under body weight. Some observations. His bed was made, he lost 50 pounds in recent months, and jail records showed he ate dinner but skipped late night snacks, a pattern often seen before, word I can't say. Ligature tear. The rope was torn when emergency responders dropped him onto a gurney. It wasn't torn before or during the hanging. DOJ Inspector General Reports 2023 concludes the word I can't say was highly likely, citing medical evidence, food logs, bed placement, and camera footage gaps. Guard negligence, sleeping off duty, created opportunity but didn't cause a death. The murder theory highlights missing cameras and falsified logs. 2 guards were asleep on break that night. Cell cameras weren't recording between 12:30 and 6:30 a.m. Log entries were later adjusted to show checks occurred. Marks on body. Critics point to rope-like marks on his arms and neck, assuming they look like he was bound rather than self-hanging. Proponents say these match ligature friction from struggling or repositioning before hanging. Political elite connections. His flight manifest, donor list, and ongoing cases, including Ghislaine Maxwell, fuels the speculation that powerful figures wanted him silenced. Bottom line, while jail conditions allowed for tampering or timing manipulation, the preponderance or something of forensic evidence strongly points to the word I can't say. Murder theories remain plausible but lack definitive proof. Like most high-profile jail deaths, they sit in a likely explained by evidence zone rather than proven one way or another. So it's actually saying on here that they can't rule it out. That's very interesting, isn't it? I'll put, what happened to his body after the coroners looked at it? Was it buried, cremated, etc.? Ask it. I don't actually know. Message held for review. Hang on. Yeah, exactly. Unaliving, yes. He was cremated, by the way. It says he was cremated on August 27th to 28th, 2019. Yeah, even the release footage had missing stuff on it. It was where you had all those AI memes of like random people walking into his cell, like Donald Trump or Agent 47. Anyway, while it's rolling through that, let me get the comments properly on things. All right, Lee. Well, I mean, what about Andrew and Epstein? We know they were involved with each other. But yeah, like I said, with it because I've already been on like an hour and a half, and it takes a few takes a couple of minutes each time we ask this AI a question because it's running locally on the PC to come back with an answer. Like I said, we need to try and ask it really good questions rather than just letting it waste a couple of minutes each time answering something that's basically like, I don't really know. Like I said, the Epstein one is interesting because it didn't say it's completely a conspiracy theory. It's actually saying, yeah, it is a bit sus, isn't it? So that's quite interesting. Put one of these in. I'll ask about the Clinton hit list. Good idea, yeah. I wonder if I can run a separate one of these on the same time. Okay. So after here's an answer for the thing. After the New York City medical examiner completed his official autopsy and an independent forensic pathologist finished their review in late August 2019, Epstein's remains were cremated on or around August the 27th to the 28th, 2019 at Fairfax Funeral Home in Staten Island, whatever it is, passed to family. The cremated ashes were placed in an urn and given to his nephew, Maxwell Rozeppa, son of Epstein's sister, Joan. Currently stored, as of recent reports, 2023 to 2024, the urn remains inside a shared crypt at Greenwood Cemetery in Westbury, New York, alongside Epstein's late sister and other relatives. No public viewing was held, and the ashes have not been scattered or placed in a standalone grave. The quick cremation within 17 days of death accommodated both the family's wishes and ongoing legal investigations required the body for independent review. Let me know if you want more details on independent autopsy findings or how the remains were transported post-coroner. So, Clinton hit list, yeah? What was the comment? What is the Clinton hit list? Question mark. Well, there's a theory, isn't there, that he they had a look-alike, and then that was the person killed, and then he basically went off to hide somewhere else. Understand user query. The user is asking about the Clinton hit list. This refers to a famous and somewhat controversial document associated with Hillary Clinton during her time as First Lady Senator in the late 1990s. No one knows what you're on about. I quite like this AI, actually. Hang on, Kevin. I have to let it finish this first question first, because again, like I said, when you're doing this look, it's basically doing this sort of thing where it's going do. I have to let it finish all this before it will. It was leaked in 1996. Apparently, that's correct. So yeah, this is quite interesting. I like this AI. I like this AI quite a lot. eBay. They were the proper Avon ones, Wazaj. They're quite hard to get, the official ones now. Lots of people do their own like ones that are very similar, you know, like similar plastics, and then they put like the plastic seals on them. But at the time, they were expensive. They were £40. That was more than I paid for my S10. But yeah, that's not that much, actually, considering. All right, okay. The Clinton hit list is a widely discussed document from the mid-1990s that tracked individuals who were either critical of Hillary Clinton or considered unfriendly to her initiatives. Despite its sensational nickname, it functioned more as a political relationship database than a traditional list of enemies. Origin and purpose. Created in 1995-1996 by staff in Hillary Clinton's US Senate office. She was serving as First Lady while chairing the task force on healthcare reform. Compilers notable aide Lisa Lindhowe aimed to track key figures across media, politics, business, and advocacy who might influence or be influenced by the Clinton administration. The label hit list was media coined. Internally, it was often called the First Lady's List, or simply a tracking sheet for outreach or monitoring. Who was on it? Roughly 80 to 90 names appeared in surviving copies, though press references sometimes cited up to 150. Categories include journalists, cable hosts, authors, corporate executives, activists, entertainers, and politicians. Examples: unfriendly critical, Rush Limbaugh, Pat Buchanan or something, Charles Krauthammer, that's a good name, Maureen Dowd, Ralph Nader. Neutral allied, Gloria Steinheim, Bob Woodward, Maya Angelou, Todd Kennedy. Many entries include brief notes like unfriendly, problematic, needs monitoring, or good relations, reflecting administrative tracking, not vengeance. Anyway, it's giving me a load of stuff. It's saying it was more for tracking, not killing people, if you believe that. I sort of came up with it for a live stream because I was on about local AI and saying, do you want to ask it whatever questions? But yeah. So what were you saying, Kevin? Ask about Seth Rich and Hillary Clinton. Phrase it in a good way for a question, Kevin. Because like I said, depending on how you ask a question depends how it answers it. And I don't want to put something in that isn't really what you're asking about. And then it spends 2 to 3 minutes, you know, coming up with. So find a good way of phrasing it as a question and I'll copy and paste it in. Yeah, Kamala cackling Harris, yeah. Like the Joker, wasn't she? I mean, I don't think Trump in his second term is doing a very good job either. I mean, he's done some stuff, like some of the stuff where you're allowed more gun stuff, I think is good. But Trump has been doing a lot of just enriching himself and his family, hasn't he? I know all politicians do that, but apparently Trump's doing it to a, like, stupid degree. So yeah, I'm just waiting for Kevin now to give me a good way of asking the question, and I will ask it. Why do people think Hillary Clinton was involved in Seth Richards' death? Okay, that's a good one to ask. Let me ask it. I'll do it in the quotation marks. It shouldn't make. Right, asking it now. Topic. Seth Rich murder. DNC staffer killed in July 2016. Question, blah, blah, blah. Who was Seth Rich? What happened? How did the conspiracy theory start? Evidence connections cited by proponents. Alternative explanation status. 27-year-old Democratic National Committee database administrator. Shot twice in the back. Oh, shot twice in the back of the head. I know that one. It's also on about Podesta. Oh, we could ask it about Pizzagate, couldn't we? It's about Podesta. Oh, messages held to review. Hang on. You're going to hell. You're going to hell, says a guy. Okay, bye-bye. I'll say hello to the devil when I'm there. Sure, Satan's an interesting bloke. But very, very, very interesting person. Thank you. I'm sure I will worry about my immortal soul now that you've mentioned I'm going to hell. I'm sure that will keep me up at night. Somebody's upset. He's just doing the lines of text at the moment. Shut it down. Yeah. The theory that Hillary Clinton was involved in the 2016 murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich stems from a mix of circumstantial timing, conservative media coverage, and a real but misunderstood data leak. Here's how it developed and what the evidence shows. Who was Seth Rich? 27-year-old administrative assistance database manager for the Democratic National Committee, DNC, in Washington, D.C. Shot twice in the back on July 10th, 2016, 5 blocks from his apartment. Died 2 days later in hospital. Known within the DNC as loyal to Hillary Clinton, worked closely with campaign leadership and helped track donor email during the primary season. How the theory started. Robbery doubts. Again, it's coming up with loads of stuff, so I'll just read the bottom line bit in a minute. Because my throat is going a bit from reading all this shit, so I don't want to read, several paragraphs of it stuff. Bottom line. The claim that Hillary Clinton killed Seth Rich is plausible in context, but unproven. It relies on circumstantial timing, a real but minor email leak, police uncertainty, and sustained conservative media coverage. The majority of independent investigators and law enforcement maintain it was likely an opportunistic robbery, though the case remains unofficially unsolved, no arrest. No direct financial documentary or testimonial evidence ties Clinton or her inner circle to Rich's murder. Let me know if you want a timeline of police reports, the full email leak contents, or how the theory shifted after the 2016 election. Yeah, but I like the fact the AI says, plausible in context but unproven. So let's ask it. Was some of the Pizzagate conspiracy real? Question mark. It claims that it's saying John Podesta ran a Washington, D.C. pizzeria, Comet Ping Pong, as a hub for Democratic Party email scandal involving children's secret room and a chicken wire wall. John Podesta's emails were hidden coded in the text. Comet Ping Pong was a secret command center for Democrats. There was a secret room with a chicken wire wall, usually just pizza prep with metal gear racks. Anyway, we'll see what the bottom line is for this one when it finishes thinking about all the bits. Also, why you shouldn't probably run this on something like Windows 11 is Windows 11 would actually just spy on everything you type and let the government know what you're typing in, unlike Linux. Although, I mean, I'm not doing a very good job of this, am I? Because I'm doing what you're asking me on the stream. That's why I said uncensored AI is cool. So, the Pizzagate conspiracy theory. 2016 was built on a mix of real events, misinterpreted details, and viral speculations. Here's what actually happened versus what was exaggerated. I'll let it do the bottom line thing again, because I can't be asked to read out everything it comes up with, because it is quite thorough, this AI. So the bottom line, Pizzagate wasn't completely baseless. Real emails contained pizza codes that linked to real DC restaurants visited occasionally by campaign figures. However, the narrative of a secret command center, child trafficking ring, or regular political headquarters was heavily embellished through misread fixtures, viral speculation, and social media repetition. Independent investigations, staff interviews, and police reports have consistently shown a normal pizzeria in an otherwise ordinary story. Want a breakdown of the original email chain that started it, side-by-side photos of the chicken wire versus actual hidden doors, or how the theory evolved into later ones, QAnon, etc. Yeah, we can always do this on another one, assuming that this stream doesn't get me a strike later on or whatever. I'm trying to think of any potentially quite interesting conspiracy stuff we can ask it. I'm just racking my brain at the moment for stuff like this we can ask it. I'll ask it, what conspiracy theories ended up being true or close to true? So it should come out with stuff like MK Ultra if I ask it about this, basically. Or another message held for review. Somebody on about some conspiracy theory there. Again, that you're not giving enough context in your comments, so I can't really comment on if you're making a joke or being serious for that one, Brad. Yeah, again, we won't do that one, Kevin, because, yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't want it to turn into too much of a shit fit in the comments. I mean, if the Israelis did want to give me a load of money to shill for Israel, I am pretty broke, so the Israelis could get on the other side of that. But, sadly, I've never been approached by people who have asked me to shill for Israel. Try and retype your comment, Brad, in a way that YouTube doesn't censor it, so I know properly what you're saying. It is on about MK Ultra, by the way, with the stuff it's doing. It's saying other things as well as MK Ultra. This is quite a long one it's taking to think about this one, because it's doing multiple conspiracy theories in one go, not just one particular thing like MK Ultra. So it's listing a few, then breaking down each one before it comes up with an answer. But the Israelis don't officially sell it, Kevin. That's the problem. So it's not something they can really profit from. Oh, I'm back. I thought the stream was getting taken down then. Yeah, I had the gas masks on. They actually worked better on this one because of the little ridge there to keep the glasses from slipping. So theories: MK Ultra, CIA mind control, dismissed in the 1970s as sci-fi. CIA burned files in 1973. 1975 Rockefeller and Church committees plus Freedom of Information releases revealed 150 plus programs, LSD trials, sensory deprivation, remote viewing, precursors, behavior modification. True. It's also on about COINTELPRO, don't know that one, Iran-Contra affair, Pentagon Papers, the Vietnam cover-up, Operation Northwoods, 1962 JFK assassination plan, Chernobyl steam explosion, yeah, because the Soviets tried to say that Chernobyl didn't happen. Oh, it didn't explode, comrades. And then it was proven that it did. Exxon climate data, the 1982 Sudbury memo. But yeah, if there's any particular ones that might be easier to do on here. But yeah, just trying to think what other interesting things we could ask this. I won't be on too much longer because I've been on nearly 2 hours now. But if people think of a couple of quick things I can ask it, I'll do that. I'm going to ask about British. How many nerve agent tests did the British government do against its own people? Because they did kill a couple of service people with nerve agent testing. Okay, I could do that in a moment, Kevin. But yeah, I'll ask it about the UK nerve agents test first. It's coming up with a thing for it now. It's coming up with a massive list of all the times the British government's tested stuff on civilians now. So I'm just going to wait for it to do the like summarized report thing. I do really like on this one, you can see its entire thinking process, where it's like essentially typing out what it's finding, how it's going to summarize it, you know. Because on a lot of the online AIs, even when they say that they're like looking up a source, they don't really give you a good breakdown of it. Like they sometimes say, I looked at this website, but they don't say, you know, I have picks out all this information from this site, sort of thing. Okay, so the British government conducted approximately 30 plus nerve agent tests on its own soil between 1952 and 1974, with around 10 to 12 of those specifically over populated civilian areas. Here's the breakdown. Key figures and scope. Time frame, primarily 1953 to 1974, Cold War era. Total experiments, 30 plus across military ranges, coastal sites and inland zones. Test over civilian populations, 10 to 12 major drops aerializations. Nerve agents used, VX most famous, sarin GB and tabun GA. People exposed, tens of thousands of military personnel, local residents and animals across all sites. Most notable civilian tests. 1953, Flyingdales, North Yorkshire, VX 16 tons. Dropped over 16 square kilometres. Military personnel, locals experienced rashes, eye throat irritation. One soldier died weeks later. Another was permanently disabled. 1954, Grange over Sands, Cumbria, sarin VX mix. 30,000 exposed to fog-borne aerosols over the town and surrounding villages. Hundreds reported nausea, dizziness and skin burns. Farnborough, Hampshire, VX aerosolized over a housing estate near RAF Farnborough. Residents reported stomach pains, rashes and neurological symptoms. 1960, Dundee, Forfar, Scotland. Tabun sarin mix, low altitude drop tested, dispersion over farmlands and small settlements. Mild effects reported. Official findings and health links. The Ministry of Defence initially kept the programme secret, but the confirmed 30 tests in declassified files released in the 1970s to 80s. A 2015-2016 government commissioned review found that between 1957 to 1969 alone, over 59 residents living within a 10-mile radius of Flyingdale died from cancer, respiratory diseases or neurological conditions at rates significantly above the national average. Statistical linkage to VX exposure was deemed plausible. Hundreds more across all sites developed confirmed symptoms: dermatitis, conjunctivitis, nausea, muscle twitching. Mortality studies suggest a small but measurable excess risk in heavily exposed cohorts. Why it was forgotten, classified in until the late 1970s, local newspapers often reported that drops, Air Force training or chemical spraying. VX was odorless and highly potent, so many exposures went unnoticed at low doses. The program wasn't publicly acknowledged by the MOD until investigations in the 2000s, 2010s, led by journalist Professor David Bellamy and independent researchers, forced declassification of test logs, weather data, and medical records. Bottom line, roughly 30 plus nerve agent tests were run on mainland Britain from 1952 to 1974, with a dozen over civilian areas. Tens of thousands were exposed, hundreds developed acute symptoms, and something or other was statistically significant. Excess mortality is the most heavily affected zones. The program is now officially recognized but retains relatively unknown outside military history and public health circles. So there you go. I'll ask the AR-15 bit before I go off, Kevin. But yeah, some of the other ones, like I said, don't have time to ask all these things. So I asked, was Eugene Stoner's AR-15 rifles sabotaged by the Ordnance Department? So yeah, it's asking about armor lights now. So yeah, it's coming up with quite a lot of text and on slides. So that's the only thing with this, is that you can't obviously get an instant answer. It has to work through all the findings and then give you a summary. Might have to use my inhaler in a bit. My chest's a bit tight, but I think that's because the pollen's been really high today. Yeah, Brown Streak. I'm already overrunning on this stream, so once this answer comes out from the chatbot, I'll be going off. It does look like it's saying yes in its workings, Kevin, but it's not finished doing all the workings yet. It's all about various tamperings and, you know, stuff where they were changing the stuff afterwards. Yeah, you're super late to the party. So I don't normally do camera streams this one. I definitely need a coffee after this. Or a cup of tea. I'm getting quite tired now. Normally it's because that light shining right in my eyes makes me feel tired. So I'll read the first bit and I'll read its summary. So yes, historical records and Eugene Stoner's own account strongly support that the US Army Ordnance Department tested the AR-15 under biased or sabotage conditions during its official trials in the late 1950s. While not a dramatic secret plot, the testing was deliberately skewed towards legacy systems, leading to unfair rejection of Stoner's rifle. Wrong cartridge issued, sight alterations, barrel gas system mismatch, logistical bias. It goes into all those in more detail, but I'm not going to read out the massive thing. Timeline and aftermath: 1956 to 58, Armalite develops AR-10, 7.62mm, rejected by US military in favor of FN-FAL 762 NATO standardization. 1958-1959, Stone scales down, design to 222-223, becomes AR-15, submitted to ordnance trials. 1959-60, ordnance officially rejects AR-15, blah, 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 blah. So historian consensus. Modern firearms historians, notably Brophy, Popenoe, and Girarsi or something, agree the AR-15 wasn't broken on purpose, but tested outside its design parameters. Ordnance rejection was driven more by institutional inertia, caliber conservatism, and supply chain politics than by actual rifle flaws. Once tested under correct 223 conditions, as the United States Air Force did, reliability and accuracy exceeded M14 benchmark across all categories. Stoner himself never called it a conspiracy, but consistently described ordnance testing as poorly calibrated, logistically biased, and resistant to change. The claim holds up well against declassified records. So, yeah, it agrees with you. Fair enough, Brown Street. But yeah, so this is quite a good AI, this one, but like I said, it's a bit slow because it's user hardware based at coming up with replies, but it has been coming up with some quite interesting things, hasn't it? Like we said, there was some of the stuff where it did come up with stuff that when you double check, it's hallucinating. But overall, this has been quite an interesting AI. But like I said, I will be off in a minute. I've been on about 2 hours and 10 minutes. I do need a coffee or a cup of tea. I'm feeling a bit tired now. What time is it? Oh, 7 minutes past 7. So yeah, I've been on quite a while. If I started at 5 p.m, yeah, roughly. So yeah, like I said, could always do this in another stream if we can't think of much to talk about. We can always run stuff through this AI because it's very easy for me to do now. I've got it all set up with the desktop shortcut. But yeah, I do like the fact that you can ask it basically anything and it won't stop you from doing it. Again, I'm not going to be doing anything stupid like asking it very illegal things, you know, which would get me arrested in the UK. I'm not going to do that for obvious reasons, even though it would probably answer me. But yeah, when asking it about breakdown on conspiracy theories, it at least does it quite fairly. You know, like with the Epstein one, where it was saying, oh, it can't rule out that he was murdered because, or, you know, something fishy went on, because there's quite a lot of evidence to support it. So, yeah, it's quite interesting AI, this one. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, thanks for everybody coming on. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the stream if you haven't liked it. We had a couple of weirdos on earlier sort of saying you're going to hell and you're an anti-Semite and whatever, because I, for some reason, don't know why. But yeah. French dude in what files? What, the Epstein files? Again, there's a lot of British politicians in it as well. But yeah, hopefully I'll be on tomorrow. I want to go on Weapon Collector's stream in the evening tomorrow. So I don't want to get up too early tomorrow. I want to get up a bit later and then, you know, not do anything to wear myself out before his like channel birthday stream or whatever. But yeah, I will be on hopefully tomorrow at some point. And yeah, don't know if I'll stream a game yet or do another camera stream, but this was quite interesting. So yeah, see you all tomorrow. I'm going to go make a cup of tea. So yeah, have one, everyone. See ya.